In this little lesson, I want to show you how to create that stone-like texture you see right here. And what you're seeing here is actually several layers of graphite built on top of one another for really controlled light shading. It's also important to mention the type of paper I'm using because it plays a huge role in the final result. Up until now, most of my drawings have been done on a relatively textured Bristol paper vellum surface. It's a grainy surface. However, this particular drawing was created on a smoother paper from the same brand. This smoother surface allows us to create incredibly subtle value transitions and beautiful gradations. On the other hand, it doesn't produce the visible paper grain that you're probably used to seeing in many of my other drawings. For this piece, I use this reference image. It's a bust of ancient Greek god Dionysus, and I choose it specifically because it creates a very interesting stone-like appearance. The subtle surface variations, weathered texture, and the soft transitions between light and shadow makes it perfect subject for demonstrating this kind of technique. At the beginning, I create a very light base layer. As you can see from the drawing process, I'm currently using a Faber-Castell mechanical pencil 1mm wide to gradually build up an initial graphite tone. I apply several of these graphite layers on top of one another, creating a foundation that will later allow us to model a stone texture. At this stage, we are simply establishing a uniform gray surface. The type of pencil isn't particularly important, whether it's a mechanical pencil or a traditional wooden one. What really matters is the hardness of the lead, and that depends largely on the subject you're drawing. In this case, I'm using an HB pencil. You can also see same approach here while I'm shading the shadow side of the bust. Throughout the process, I occasionally blend this foundation very lightly with a blending stump. On a smooth paper, this allows us to create a continuous, homogeneous surface that would be much harder to achieve on a more textured paper. This texture is actually part of much larger drawing of Dionysus, and you're currently seeing only small section of the complete process, which is available in the member section of this channel. At this stage, the drawing doesn't look particularly appealing yet. Smooth paper is much less forgiving than the textured one. A grain of textured surface can hide small imperfections and minor mistakes, but on smooth paper, you need to pay much closer attention to your pencil pressure. In the darkest areas, I switch to a softer pencil to strengthen the shadows. I build these areas through cross-hatching in the multiple directions, exactly as you can see in this demonstration. I use a blending stump to soften the texture, but only very lightly. The goal isn't to create a perfectly smooth surface. We're already working on a smooth paper, and that smoothness simply serves as a foundation that allows us to model the stone surface more effectively than we could on textured paper. At this point, we have established the basic value structure, and you can still see traces of pencil marks and eraser work. This is intentional because we are building the underlying stone texture. Now we can start creating various cracks, scars, pits, and surface imperfections. My main tool for this stage is a Tombow Mono Zero eraser. It's essentially an eraser housed in a mechanical pencil-style body. You can extend it as needed, and with a razor blade you can shape it into very fine point. It's a useful tool for this type of drawing. For larger areas that need to be lightened, I use a kneaded eraser. Its advantage is it can can be shaped into different forms, whether you need sharp edge or broader, flatter surface. As you can see, I also have a printed photo reference. It's not printed at the same scale as the drawing. Its purpose is simply to allow me to observe the stone texture under the real light rather than relying only on the digital image. At this stage, I'm constantly switching between tools: a kneaded eraser, a 1mm mechanical pencil, combo mono zero eraser, a sharpened HB pencil, although a softer pencil can work as well. And for the finest details and delicate shading, I use 0.3mm mechanical pencil from Pentel. From the basic gray value that we established at the beginning, the process now becomes quite simple. By carefully following the reference, we either add or remove the graphite. As we continue refining the surface, an almost abstract pattern of the lighter and darker shapes begins to emerge. We keep adjusting and tweaking these forms until we are satisfied with the final result. And that's it. If you'd like to see the entire drawing process from start to finish, including every stage of the process, the full-length video with almost no commentary, just the process itself, is available for the channel members. You'll find the link in the description below. And if you'd like to see how this drawing started, including the complete blocking stage, check out the video currently you see on the screen. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps the channel to grow and allows me to share more drawing tips with the wider audience. Thank you for watching, and I see you in the next one.